What's going on, guys? It's Tetrosphere, and we have another match from our 3v3 case tournament at GalaxyBusterTCG. Not sure the names of these players, so let's just jump on into the match. Looks like we're shuffling up. Getting the old Neuron app out, hopefully. Let's zoom past this so we don't get any personal information. Dice roll. Looks like we rolled an 8 over there. Might have missed the first roll. Well, we'll find out soon whether or not 8 was enough. Players have shuffled. They've cut. They've presented. 5 cards have been drawn. Ooh, the old notepad, like that. Hand shaken. Shall we begin? Any moment now, I'm sure. I don't want to skip ahead too far and spoil a bunch of stuff. Are we just waiting on the timer at this point? Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. Geez. All right, so it looks like 8 was a high enough die roll. We're starting off with the normal summon of Fabled Lurie, and this is immediately going to be linked off, of course, into Requiem. Summon of Lacrima, who will attempt to Foolish, and it will send out an Engraver to the graveyard. Now we're going to go ahead and shuffle that Lurie back to summon out the Engraver. This, of course, is summon number 4, and it looks like we're going into either a Link 2. Okay, so we're going for Sequence as opposed to Caesar. We're going to go ahead and shuffle everything back to make our Desiree. Very interesting. Maliss and Underground. Okay, so we have Fiendsmith, Maliss on the left. We're going to go ahead and banish the Dormouse. This will, of course, trigger her effect to summon herself. Of course, Nib is live right now. And we have committed a normal summon. So I think we're pretty safe from the rock. Dormouse is going to banish White Rabbit, who will then summon herself from banishment and set a Maliss trap. And she's going to set the GWC, which makes me wonder if we already have TB11 in hand, or if maybe in this build we're just not playing TB11. But we are going to go ahead and link 3 right into White Binder. And then we're going to use White Binder's effect to set. There's the TB11. Okay. So just a different way of doing it. I guess it makes sense because you open field spell, so you're not necessarily trying to go through Red Ransom. Or at least it's not necessary to. You definitely still can. It's definitely still a viable line. Alright, so we're going to go TB11, summon from deck, banishing the White Binder. This is definitely a great way to get the third name, the Chessy Cat, into rotation. White Binder is going to come back, and we're going to draw a card. Now we've got lots of plays available to us. Any way we can get that Chessy Cat into the banishment is going to be good, because then that's going to give us another body. Just as a point of note, we did use White Binder on someone there to banish our TB11, just setting up either our Heart's Cryptor non-target banish or the field spell attack boost at whatever point in the game. We had the other engraver in hand, so we're going to go ahead and grab Tract. And now we can use Dormouse, White Binder, and the Chessie Cat, okay, for Heart's Cryptor. We're going to attempt Tract. This is going to give us another body in the form of Lurie if we so choose to do it that way. Okay, so we're going to link off the Cryptor and the Lurie into an Abao. Okay, so I see what we've set up here. I think we got the GWC to revive White Binder in the opponent's turn, which can then banish the Cryptor to make it come back as well. Or just straight up revive the Cryptor if we determine that that was a better use of our resources. Of course, we have the Desiree Field Omni. The Abao can pop or also revive White Binder from grave. So definitely a solid opener. Very good layered interaction here. We also have 3 cards in hand. And it looks like we're going to start off with X'd Send Aggregator. Aggregator is going to target Lightless Shadow. So looks like we're chaining the Lightless Shadow here. Thinking on discard. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and chain Lightless Shadow, discarding White Rabbit. I'm not sure if we're using her effect to pop, or is the discard only cost on the pop? Okay, so yeah, we're not even going to use the revive. We're just going to go ahead and pop the X'd. X is going to grab Node. Let's see, Abawaku, the Lightless Shadow. Okay, so the discard is cost on either of the effects. I forget if it was just the popper, if it was both, but obviously it's both. Popping X, probably not a terrible call, especially since you have another way to get the White Binder and or Heart's Cryptor onto the field, especially if you have a Bestial in hand. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and chain Grin Without a Cat in response to the normal summon of Ice. Okay, so we're going to chain Called By. Now, the good thing is that okay, so this just forced the Desiree, but even if we let that Called By go through, whether it was White Binder or Cryptor that got banished, we could just summon the other one and still have a play, because you could still White Binder banish the White Rabbit to set MTP and still get a non-target banish that way. But it looks like we used Desiree to negate the Called By and probably also the Ice. And White Binder on our play on resolution there banished White Rabbit and Cryptor and the opponent's Aggregator. Cryptor and White Rabbit are going to come out, and White Rabbit is going to set that Mad Tea Party from the deck. All right, and we're going to special summon Sword. So what do we have here? On the Maliss side, as far as interactions go, we still have the MTP non-target banish and the Cryptor non-target banish, plus 2 cards in hand. Sword is going to grab X, which already summoned itself from its effect. But it's still a free send for node. Well, not free, but you search it off Sword to send for node. We're going to go ahead and MTP here, but that's going to be met with an Ash Blossom. So that's fair. So now we're down to just the 2 cards in hand plus the Cryptor Banish. Ooh, Exciton. Immediately going to attempt to blow up the board on a quick. Okay, so we're going to Cryptor, target TB, shuffle the TB back, and then on resolution, non-target, banish a card on the field. This could be herself, or no, she was already summoned off White Binder, so that likely wouldn't be the call. You could get rid of the Exciton, but then Node is still alive. Okay, so you get rid of the White Binder. White Binder is going to come back and draw a card, so that's fine, because it was summoned off the effect of GWC. And you have the Desiree send as well. So Desiree can send Exciton, and White Binder can summon herself and draw you a card. All right, so now on the Ryzeal side, we have the Node extension. Technically, if you have another Ice in hand, you normal summon to that Ice, so you could summon Ice by its own effect as well. But Node can still get you into a Detonator on its own here, I think. Because I'm pretty sure, yeah, because you have a rank 4 engrave, right? Isn't that its condition? There is a lot of pressure to out this White Binder, because if it sticks to the field, it can reset the GWC from grave next turn, which it can then banish the White Binder to summon Cryptor back, and then of course the White Binder will also come right back from banishment and draw a card. So it's definitely critical that we don't allow a grind game here. I think if this goes to turn 3, or rather, if White Binder is still on the field during turn 3, this is an extremely commanding position for Maliss to be in. And truly, if you have a Bestial in hand, even if White Binder's not in the field. All right, but we do go for the Node. And we're going to Node send X from hand to summon Sword. And Nibiru. Which tells me that we probably have a way in hand to get that White Binder out of the graveyard. And we're going to pass it right back. Looks like we top decked. Is that Droplet? I don't see the other 2 cards in hand. We have a Nib token and 1 card in hand on the side of Ryzeal. Maliss and Underground. Another way to get White Binder into the banishment. White Binder comes out. We draw a card. White Binder can banish up to 3 from the graveyard. We're going to go Dormouse. I wouldn't be surprised if we do something like Cryptor. Yeah. And why not White Rabbit? That's going to cost us a total of 1,500 life. And we're going to have no problem putting up game here. This is, yeah, because White Binder can reset the GWC. That Nib token should have basically no defense. Like, I believe the Nibiru itself should be able to run it over. And that Cryptor has doubled attack. Plus, it still has the non-target banish, even if we weren't able to run the token over for whatever reason. But yeah, White Binder is able to... This is game here with just the Cryptor and the Nib. Yep. All right, so Maliss takes it in game 1. Post side, Ryzeal will have the right to declare whether he intends to go first or second. And of course, we'll now have access to the floodgates, the Lancias. If you're, depending on how much you respect Maliss and siding, how much you hate playing against it, you might also be playing cards like Chaos Hunter or Imperial Iron Wall. Artifact Sanctum could be part of the equation. But you're against Fiendsmith Maliss. So I personally don't care much for the Fiendsmith variant of Maliss, but I do have to admit that the advantage it has is it's not dead in the water against those typical floodgates. It has a better backup plan. And I see quite a few cards coming in and siding. Probably the Lancias. I think the others looked like traps, so they could be Sanctums or they could be like Strikes or Judgments. Also really great cards to bring in against Maliss. If you're able to, negate the summon of like a White Binder or even a Red Ransom, then you're really in good shape. As far as what the Maliss player is bringing in, the Mulch Armies are quite good against the Fiendsmith variant, even more so than the pure Ryzeal. Especially if you're able to get them under a combination of Walos and Perulia, it's pretty much over. Joel and Lockbird is also quite effective here. We saw Nibiru be effective in game 1 when we went first. Not so sure it's going to be as effective going second in a post-side scenario. So Nib may or may not have come out. I believe I saw Droplet in the main. That likely stayed in. That's a pretty good going second tech here. Anything like Ultimate Slayer. Bestial Maliss is on Metaltronus. I don't know if Fiendsmith Maliss is. So Metaltronus may or may not be a part of the equation. All right, players have shuffled, offered cut, and the game is afoot. And we have the Perulia. A phenomenal start for Maliss, being up a game and having Perulia, which, as I already mentioned, is so effective in this matchup. It is so hard for Ryzeal to play around this card because so much of your extension comes from the hand. The Fiendsmith side can be okay, especially if you open Engraver or Tract. You don't necessarily need to summon from the hand at all. But basically the only way to give Maliss 0 draws here is to end on Caesar or Desiree and nothing else. Truly, any form of Ryzeal engine is going to offer at least 1 draw. Okay, so we're going to grab X'd. So I'm thinking we're planning on giving 1 draw here. Ah. Okay. Ice is going to go for a special summon, I would think. No? Okay, we were just thinking on response. We are going to imperm the ice. That's really, really strong, because that means that if Homeboy wants to end on more than ice, he has to give into another Perulia draw. Yeah, so there's the other draw. We're going to send Aggregator. X is going to search. Which I think we probably let's let this go even if we have a hand trap. Just because the only way for the X search to matter is to play into another Perulia. Unless the game plan is to just grab turn 3 materials here and pass on a detonator, which isn't the worst thing. But given that you've already given 2 draws, that's really not feeling good to just end on a 2, because the detonator has nothing else. Well, no, it can detach the aggregator. So you're going to end on a 3 material detonator with an aggregator, giving 2 draws. Not the worst, but you're also not feeling great about it. You would have rather just done that off the ice special summon and had the X in your hand for the next turn for the crackback. All right, so we are grabbing Sword off of X. And we're going to go ahead and go into straight to Detonator, who is going to attempt... Oh, but we're going to Veiler the attempt to grab the Aggregator. All right, so we've got a Detonator, 2 face downs, and it looks like 2 in hand. The face down could be a Solemn, it could be an Imperm, it could be, any 2 of those things. It could be a Sanctum. We might be attempting to Floodgate our opponent here. But either way, that Perulia has us in a decent position. We're starting off with Engraver. Which is going to grab Tract. And now we're going to attempt Tract. The attempt is successful. Moving into a Lurie situation. Lurie hits the field. So far, we've seen nothing from Ryzeal. We're, of course, going to link one into Requiem. We're likely going to be very careful to hold any interaction for the Maliss side of this engine, or perhaps if Desiree or Caesar is threatened, that's when Detonator might pop a material. Lacrima hits the field. Lacrima effect to Foolish. This is not met with Detonator. That may or may not have been a... let me know down below. What do you guys think? Do you pop Lacrima here? You could pop Lacrima on the attempt of Requiem to equip to it as well. But we're going to attempt Engraver to shuffle back Lurie. Well, the shuffle back is obviously cost. That's successful, but Engraver's going to try and revive itself. We're thinking of responding to this. All right, we let it go. So what's interesting here is we're now threatening a light Chaos Angel, if we so desire, which could out the Detonator. And I believe light is the unaffected side. I think it's dark that makes it can't be destroyed by battle. Yeah, light is unaffected. So a Chaos Angel here could out the Detonator, and it would take a combination of Imperm Detonator to stop it. Okay, so we did pop Lacrima in response to, I believe that was the Requiem effect. All right, so we still haven't committed our normal summon. We haven't done anything with the Maliss side of our engine. We've dealt with one Detonator pop. Now we're going to normal summon Dormouse. Not sure if we're thinking on the summon or thinking on the effect activation. That must have been the effect activation because there is the Lancia. Okay. So we're under Lancia. We have 2 face downs, a card in hand, and 1 detonator pop to deal with. And that was our normal. Now, sequence is an option here. That would likely be, if there's like a solemn strike, that would likely be flipped at that point. What else do we have? We could go Dormouse into Lingaribo. Lingaribo and Engraver into SP. SP out the detonator. What else is there? Cerberus? I don't know you'd go for Cerberus because that takes a discard unless you have something in your hand that you want to get in the grave. But if that's the case, then Cerberus is an option. Does look like we go for the sequence line. I think if you have Solemn Strike set, you strike this. Or the effect. The nice thing about the summon being negated is they can't revive it from grave, but in the case of Fiendsmith, that's not generally that important because they just shuffle it back. So I think you change. Oh, you are going to judgment the summon. Okay, so that means that of course you can't judgment the effect. You can only judgment the summon, which is a flexibility that Strike has that Judgment doesn't. So there we go. So we've got a 1 material detonator. We've got a face down. We've got a card in hand on the side of Ryzeal, and on the side of Maliss, we have, looks like 3 cards in hand. And we're going to pass on an empty field. Might be a Mulcharmy in there. And we're going to normal summon Ice. Ice will succeed this time. Do we have the Requiem into Lacrima to send Paradise Play available? I'm not so sure. But X is going to grab Node. Now, if you want to play around Nib, you need to make Duo Drive here. Because Duo Drive would be summon number 3, and it can get its search off to grab Cross prior to summon number 5 in this case. If you go Node, Node would be summon number 3, and then Node would summon something from Grave, and then Duo would be summon number 5, which would mean Nibiru is live without Cross on field. Okay, so we're going to go into Exciton Knight, and we're going to go straight into our Fiendsmith line that way. Okay, so we are not respecting Nib, which might make sense, especially if that's a set Solemn Strike. We're chaining Lacrima into Requiem. Why would you shuffle? You're going to grab that Lacrima from deck, right? Like, on the Ryzeal side, a Lacrima of our own. Foolish is an Engraver, it looks like. And now we're going to equip our Requiem to that Lacrima. And we're going to shuffle back Exciton to summon our own Engraver. And this should be a Necroquip situation, indeed. Requiem is now going to attempt to summon Lacrima from deck, who will then, of course, Foolish, Fiendsmith, and Paradise. See, this is why you don't shuffle on the Requiem Lacrima Gambit. Like, you know you're doing it, right? Like, come on now. There was no need to shuffle here. There's Lacrima. Lacrima Foolish. Let's see that trap. Send Tract? Okay. Was that just to, like, eliminate a bad draw? I mean, obviously it's very possible that you sided Paradise out going second, but with that in mind, why do this play, right? There's Sword. And we're going to summon Ext. Sending Abyss Dweller, or okay, I guess we're taking that back. Sending Exciton Knight. What is the play? There's our Duo Drive. Duo Drive is going to attach an Ice. And then we're going to detach to search. What hasn't summoned itself inherently? I think an Ice has not. Yeah, that makes sense. You've grabbed an Ice. Okay. So you have Cross, Ice, and an Unknown in hand, or at least it's unknown to me. Ice can summon itself by sending something, if you want to extend any further. Of course, you have Cross to draw a card. I'm pretty sure you already summoned everything else by its own effect. We might not be able to put up lethal through that Lacrima. Normal summon of Ice. Yeah, we're going to obviously activate Cross, or special summon of Ice. If we do that, we have the Duo Drive, the Detonator, and the Caesar. It depends on whether or not Ice can run over Lacrima, I forget. If Ice can run over Lacrima, then we definitely can put up lethal here. Oh, I guess we haven't summoned Note. I thought we did. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely lethal unless we have some way of threatening this from the hand. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go into battle phase. Node is going to run over the Lacrima, and that is game. We have, in fact, forced a game 3 on the side of Ryzeal. Maliss will now have the option of going first in game 3, but we, of course, know that a particular artifact is a factor. With that in mind, similar to the Ryzeal player, this is a situation where you can bring in those counter traps, or solemn strikes, or solemn judgments, set up a little bit of a defense in the event that you get Lancia'd, survive a turn, come back, and try to win again. On the side of Ryzeal, if you're playing Meowls, that's a good one to come in here. Board breakers, like the power spells and whatnot, can be hit or miss against Maliss. Ultimate Slayer can be okay if you have a good link send. Probably not how you're going to want to deal with this board, though. I know some will Metaltronus for Aggregator. On the Summon of White Binder, when she summons herself from Banish and attempts to banish 3. Of course, you can also Ash that. Very good way of dealing with that interaction. Ghost Bell, also phenomenal here. That could come in. let's see what we got going on. Very excited to see this game 3. I'm excited to see the Fiendsmith variant do well. Like I said, personally, I'm not a big fan of that variant. But homeboy over here seems to be doing well with it. Gotta give props, man. Playing this very well. Okay, decks have been shuffled. Decks have been presented. Decks are being cut. We are moments away from drawing 5 cards and beginning game 3. Let's see who takes play. It would appear that we have elected to go first on the side of Maliss, and we are going to once again begin by discarding Engraver to search a Fiendsmith spell or trap. This will not be met with interaction. Tracked will get added to the hand, and now we are going to check for Droll. The nice thing about the Fiendsmith variant is typically Droll would be pretty strong here, but generally speaking, people are not going to keep Droll in against any Maliss deck. Just because it's not particularly effective at halting their game plan. So your Fiendsmith side is likely very safe from Droll here. And it looks like we will activate Tracked. And this will also, or no, we will. Oh, we just revealed what we added. And we're going to normal summon, I think that is White Rabbit. A little hard to tell with the glare, but oh yeah, I got a good read on the name. That is definitely White Rabbit. We will Veiler the Rabbit. And we will attempt Tracked. This will succeed. All right, we're going to attempt Lurie, and okay, so in response to the effect of Lurie, we're going to chain Fualos. Okay. This puts us in an interesting position because likely to put up anything meaningful here now, we're probably looking at giving our opponent at least 2 draws. Because I don't know that there's anything you can do in one. Unless those 3 cards in hand are 3 like very high quality hand traps or traps you can set. Okay, so we are going to go into the Lizard Dose, which is going to give 1 draw. We're going to use Lizard Dose to banish White Rabbit, which is going to come out. And now, once again, like I said, you could go into something like a White Binder here. But that's going to be 2 draws right there. And a White Binder with a Maliss trap set is not the craziest outcome for giving 2 draws. Okay, so we're going to go into Red Ransom. This will grab Field Spell. So here's the thing. Is Ryzeal Fiendsmith a deck that you can afford to just give a ton of gas? How comfortable are you pushing into this Fualos? Because as it is right now, Ryzeal is looking at drawing back into 6 cards. And all you've accomplished is a Red Ransom plus 4 cards in hand. So you haven't even plussed, truly. You have 1 card on the field and 4 in hand. You have 5 now. You started with 5. And you don't have a Requiem on the field, or in the grave, because obviously it didn't make sense to do that under the Fualos. Okay, so we're going to shuffle back Literally to summon Engraver. Ooh, we are going to give another draw. There's Requiem. All right, so Homeboy's on 6 cards, going to draw into 7. There it is. We have Requiem, we have Red Ransom, and we have 4 cards in hand. Those need to be very high-quality hand interactions for us to have a surviving game plan here. Now, the nice thing and the little-known effect of Red Ransom, she currently points to a monster. So, the attack and defense of all effect monsters that Homeboy on the right controls are switched. Requiem is met with Metaltronus, so the fusion or the special summon Lacrima from deck play is offline. That's fine. We're gonna go into our own Requiem. Summon Lacrima. Lacrima's gonna Foolish. That's gonna be met with Valor. All right, so we're down to 3 interactions. We have got Bonfire. Yikes. Just going to grab Ice, who will normal summon, grab X'd, X'd on special, grab Sword. We attempt Requiem here for one reason or another. And there's Nibiru. So that's pretty good. Did we attempt the Requiem knowing it was negated just to get the token to be a bit smaller? We have forced our opponent to rank 4 lock themselves, so this isn't bad. X is going to summon itself, sending Eclipse Twins. Going to go right into Detonator, who will attach an Eclipse Twins. Do we have another way to push? I mean, it looks like we've got 3-4 cards in hand. Okay, so we have Node. Node's going to summon a sword from grave. And we're going to push over the Nib, take the Detonator directly. That's 3k down. We're going to go ahead and send 2 back for a cross draw. I did see, it looks like that is a Joel and Lockbird in the hand. But we're considering another rank 4 play before we pass turn. Looks like we're going into Abyss Dweller. Yikes. We need something pretty epic. We need something crazy here. We're going to go... This might be in the end phase. Oh, no, this must be our... Oh, no, this is our main phase. We've Engraver, shuffled back Requiem. Why are we holding Dweller? That's interesting. We've made our own Requiem. Or another Requiem, I should say. And looks like we had an Engraver in hand. Gonna grab a Tract. Attempt Tract. Now we're gonna Dweller. Okay. This means that Literally won't trigger Engrave. Not the worst. What are those other 2 cards? We must feel like we're still in this. And now we have Joel and Lockbird as well. Thrust. Okay. What can we grab? We've got to set it because we're under Droll. But, I mean, it's got to be something like Karma Cannon. Like, this needs to be crazy. And And whatever it is, we're going GWC. The problem is whatever it is, Detonator can pop it. But we're just going to go ahead and pop Field Spell. That's reasonable. We're going to attempt Requiem to summon. Detonator's going to chain to pop the back row and detach to negate the Requiem. And we're going to pass. Oh. Is that it? Is that all she wrote? Are we scooping it up? Do we have a play? GG's. Ryzeal takes it. Very good games there. I love that gameplay. Yeah. Really good way to command the game there on the right. Congrats to both players. That was a good game to watch. Yeah, I don't really have any notes as far as like things that I feel like, you know, could have been better in hindsight or anything I would have done differently. These two players are definitely a cut above me. So thank you guys for playing on camera and let me learn a thing or two from watching y'all. And to you, the audience, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.